often we'll find that what we end up worrying about and getting anxious about isn't really just so much the situation that we face or a difficult event. It's actually what we're doing with that event in our heads, so our own thoughts, our own beliefs about the situation we face. Because of that, there are tried and tested techniques that we can learn to think through the problems properly and to frame what's happening to us in a slightly more helpful way. What does that mean? Well, first of all, it means considering whether your own thoughts are helpful, rational, or actually, perhaps, if you examine them and hold them up to the light of day, they don't look that rational and that evidence-based. To give you an example, some people are prone to what we would call all or nothing thinking. So when something happens, they tend to blow it out of proportion very quickly. That kind of individual, when things are going badly, can almost feel like the world is ending every day, or more frequently like that. And it's often a mistake because it's blowing things right out of proportion and out of context. Another, what we would call thinking error, which is quite common, is to jump to conclusions. So rather than investigating properly what's happening and working out what's going to happen next, you just decide. You might mind read, you might decide that certain individuals are thinking certain things based on what's happened, but you don't really know because you haven't found out, you haven't gone and talked to them to try and find out what's really going on. These things are quite common. In fact, most of us do them from time to time. So how do we deal with them? Well, first of all, we've got to get back to what's happening and what's happened, the situation, and try and understand that properly. Then when we do, we should examine our feelings. How is this making us feel? From there, and this is where the work comes in really, it's about trying to work out, well, what is it about that situation that makes me feel like this? So if you're getting angry, why do you feel so angry based on what's happened? When you start to ask yourself those questions, you tend to unpack your thinking. So it might be around you're getting angry because you think certain people have reacted in a way which isn't fair or isn't justified based on the situation. And from there, you've started to construct a picture of what's going on. So when you understand the thoughts, the beliefs that are driving your feelings, literally you can then start to examine those, and you can almost cross-examine them. You can ask, are these rational? Are they based on evidence? Or actually, are they more likely to be based on who knows what, some assumptions you're making about the situation which aren't very well grounded? You then start to reframe. You then start to consider, is there another way of seeing this problem? And some of your thinking you might decide is rational, is justified. You then have to work out how to deal with that. But some of your thoughts might not look very well grounded or based on much evidence. With those, you probably can challenge them, and you can probably come up with alternatives, and you can identify a course of action, which might be quite different from where you started out in terms of your thinking. Learning to do that sort of approach is important. It's quite straightforward, but you have to practice it. When you do and you learn to use it properly, you'll find it's very effective in dealing with pressure situations, particularly those that are making you very anxious.